Rory McIlroy walked into the FedEx St. Jude Championship and said something you almost never hear from a professional golfer at this level. He hadn't picked up a club in nearly 3 weeks. He'd put on 6 pounds. And when asked why, he didn't dress it up. He simply said he'd spent a few weeks living a little too well. That confession came before he hit a single shot in Memphis. By Thursday evening, his scorecard turned that confession into hard evidence. McIlroy stood on the 16th tee at TPC Southwind, sitting at even par, in brutal heat that felt like 110 degrees. He wasn't contending, but he was holding steady, and steady would have been a perfectly fine result. Then it all came apart. A bogey on the par 5 16th. Another bogey on the par 4 17th. And on the closing 18th, his tee shot found the water. 2 tries to get back to the green later, he signed for a double bogey and a 4 over 74. 3 holes, 4 strokes over par, and suddenly he was 9 shots off the first-round lead, sitting 68th out of a 69-man field. To understand how he got there, you have to go back almost a month, to England. Brad Faxon, the 8-time PGA Tour winner who works with McIlroy on his putting, told the story on the Sky Sports Golf podcast just days before the tournament began. According to Faxon, McIlroy hadn't struck a golf shot since tapping in a short bogey putt on the final hole of the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, which wrapped up on July 19th. He only picked a club back up a few days before landing in Memphis. Faxon wasn't worried about it at all. He actually found it funny. This wasn't an accident. McIlroy spent that stretch with his family on holiday in Ibiza and Greece, joined by his caddy Harry Diamond and his Ryder Cup teammate Shane Lowry. All season, he's talked openly about wanting more time away from competition, especially with his wife Erica and daughter Puppy. Faxon didn't blame him one bit, pointing out that after 17 years chasing the one goal McIlroy had finally achieved, the real toll of professional golf isn't physical. It's the constant spotlight, the total lack of a break, someone approaching him whether he's walking through a gate or sitting down for dinner. Faxon even predicted, before the first tee shot was struck, that Memphis would function less as a real title chase and more as a rust-shaking practice week. The 74 proved him right. Then there's the physical admission, which came out in a conversation with Golf Digest's Luke Kerr-Dineen, who'd noticed McIlroy looked like he'd added muscle this season. McIlroy said his ideal playing weight sits around 174 pounds. After 3 weeks off, he was up to 180, and he laughed it off with that same line about living too well. 6 pounds sounds like nothing. But context matters here. When McIlroy first turned pro, he was listed at just 154 pounds. A scare with a back injury pushed him into serious strength training, and the transformation since has been dramatic, all built for one purpose: speed. He's explained before that he doesn't have the natural leverage some players do, so he has to lift, has to be strong, because without that strength he doesn't get anywhere near 190 miles an hour of ball speed. Weight built in the gym fuels the swing. Weight built on vacation doesn't. And the season stats back that up. The engine is still there. He's averaging over 328 yards off the tee this year, gaining nearly a full stroke per round just with his driver. What broke down in that first round was everything else. He lost more than 2 strokes to the field with his approach play, hit only half his fairways, only half his greens, and made bogey on both par 5s. To his credit, he didn't let the evening go to waste. After the round, he headed straight to the range and hit over 100 balls with his longtime coach Michael Bannon, working specifically on body rotation. He'd done the same thing 2 days earlier. On Monday, he described the exact feeling he's chasing. When he doesn't rotate enough, his right arm shoots out away from the target line instead of staying down it, and when it's working right, it feels like he could reach out and shake hands with the flag. Here's the part of this story that's been almost completely overlooked. 12 months ago, McIlroy skipped this exact tournament entirely, even while sitting second in the FedEx Cup standings, which stirred up plenty of discussion at the time. This year, he showed up. So what changed? In his pre-tournament press conference, he offered 2 reasons. First, his schedule. 4 weeks off heading into the final 2 playoff events felt like too much this time around, and Memphis gave him a chance to check in on his game and get used to the heat. Except that explanation has a hole in it. His 2025 calendar looked almost identical. He finished the Open on July 20th that year and still took 4 weeks off before the BMW Championship. The same gap is calling excessive now. He had no problem with 12 months ago. His second reason was about loyalty, that showing up for the tour's playoffs matters, that it's important for every player to be there. He never explained why that logic didn't apply last year, but he dropped one more detail that points to the real answer. He mentioned having had some good conversations lately with Brian Rolap, the PGA Tour's CEO. And that's where the actual story lives. Reporting from Golf Channel's Rex Hoggard fills in the gap, McIlroy is likely to fall one tournament short of the 15-event minimum needed to keep his home tour status, the status that lets him play both the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour without needing special releases. Even counting Memphis, he's on pace for roughly 14 events this season, and he's said adding a fall tournament to make up the difference isn't currently the plan. The Tour Handbook does allow that minimum to be waived for medical reasons or extraordinary circumstances, and that looks like the likely path here. McIlroy says the conversations with Rolap are ongoing and that it'll get sorted, adding that he takes real pride in being a global player. If it doesn't get sorted, the stakes are real. Without that status, he'd be limited to just 7 sponsor exemption starts plus his spots in the 4 majors. There's another wrinkle. The Tour has confirmed this event won't be part of the new championship series starting in 2028. FedEx says it's encouraged by talk of bringing golf back to Memphis in some form down the line. McIlroy said he wasn't part of those discussions, praised the tournament's work for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and said he hopes it stays on the calendar somehow. For 2 straight days, McIlroy played right alongside world number 1 Scottie Scheffler. Same course, same heat, same tee times. Thursday, Scheffler shot a 2 under 68. McIlroy shot 74. Friday was even more lopsided. Scheffler opened with 5 straight birdies and closed with 11 birdies against just 2 bogeys for a 9 under 61, the 4th time in his career he's shot 61 or better on tour. That put him at 11 under, 3 shots clear of the field. McIlroy improved by 4 strokes with an even par 70, landing at 4 over for the tournament, 15 shots behind the man he'd just spent 2 full rounds walking beside. He bogeyed the final 2 holes again, meaning across 2 rounds is played 16, 17, and 18, a combined 6 strokes over par. Scheffler's prep had been almost identical, a couple of good weeks resting at home before the week began. The same rest, wildly different results. Scheffler even summed up exactly what got McIlroy in trouble on 18, noting how many hazards line that course, how playing too safe puts you in the rough, and playing too aggressive puts you in the water. McIlroy wasn't the only one struggling. Robert McIntyre shot a 12 over 82 and withdrew afterward. But there's no cut at this event, so there's still room to work with. Only the top 70 in the standings even made it to Memphis, the top 50 advanced to the BMW Championship in St. Louis, and the top 30 reached the Tour Championship at Eastlake, where the winner walks away with $10 million and a 5-year exemption. McIlroy sits 12th in the FedEx Cup standings, so advancing was never really in doubt, which is exactly why this week carried so little pressure for him. He's said he tries to think of the playoffs as one long 12-round tournament rather than 3 separate events, and that pacing yourself through the heat from Memphis to St. Louis to Atlanta matters more than any single round. His track record in these playoffs is hard to argue with. He's a 3-time FedEx Cup champion, winning in 2016, 2019, and 2022, with a strong history at Eastlake specifically. TPC Southwind has been more of a mixed bag for him, with top 5 finishes in 2019 and 2023, a miscut in 2022, and a tie for 68th last year. After the Tour Championship wraps up, his season keeps going, stops planned in Ireland, England, twice in India, the UAE, and Australia before the year is out. Some have suggested that stretch abroad might actually matter more to him than the rest of this postseason run. So where does that leave the bigger picture? The case for concern is real. 1 win worldwide all year. Major finishes that got worse as the season went on. 7th, then 32nd, then 40th. Just 2 top 10s in his last 6 tour starts, and he admitted after the Open that his motivation had been slipping. But the case for staying calm is just as real. That single win was a 2nd straight Masters title, making him only the 4th player ever to defend the green jacket and the 6th major of his career. His strokes gained number for the season still sits well above average, and he already completed the career Grand Slam last year. Faxon ended his podcast appearance with a story McIlroy had told him. When he explained to his young daughter Poppy that he had to go practice, she looked at him and said he already knew how to play. Faxon's takeaway was simple: McIlroy hasn't forgotten how. And he's probably right. 2 rounds remain in Memphis. No cut, no danger of going home early. Just 6 strokes over par sitting across 3 holes that Rory McIlroy still has to face twice more before Sunday's done.